Can Newcastle United pick themselves up after losing at Anfield yesterday and to return this Saturday at St. James's Park at Brighton and continue their journey for that domestic double? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Cher. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Cher wins!
Okay. How you folks doing this evening in the UK, but wherever you're listening to around the world, or again, also here in the UK, guys, I hope you are well. I hope you had a blessed day and having a great week as we head into Friday, as we head into the footballing weekend. Let me know how you guys are doing. As always, folks, do share, like, and subscribe. Make yourselves known in the comments. Let me know how you felt about the Liverpool game. We're not gonna spend too much time reviewing it, but let me know how you guys are feeling about it and how you guys are feeling about this weekend against Brighton. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this show. We're going to do a brief review for the Liverpool game, and we're going to do a good tactical breakdown for the Brighton game, as well as a little bit of a. We're going to read a one, maybe two scouting reports on a potential centre forward for Newcastle United and a right wing forward who seem really promising. So, guys, as always, always good to be here with you guys. Let's kick it off. Let's not wait too long. And as always, there's been another. There was a couple of news article released by Craig Ho, by Mark Douglas. Late on, I didn't have enough time to read all the articles. Obviously, kind of information on the PSR and everything else. So that's I'll have to maybe create a short or something like that and do it for that. But Newcastle are busy on and off the pitch. Newcastle United are busy on and off the pitch. Right, so let's get into the Liverpool game. Let me know what you guys thought about it. It might. I don't know if you guys saw my short. I've taken the view of, and I'm wondering if, where are you? Liverpool, Newcastle. Here we go. For instance, from the starting lineups themselves, Isak almost last minute, essentially. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, you can. Isak almost last minute was saying, he wasn't available to play. I suspect but cannot prove that Eddie Howe always knew that Isak wasn't going to play in this game. But it was important to bring him to give the impression that he was going to play. This is me with my tinfoil hat on, I suppose, but it wouldn't surprise me. I also suspect but cannot prove that Joe Linton and Sven Botman, for instance, I believe would have been fit to play for this game too. But again, I think these players were withheld just because the timing of this game against Liverpool, because now, yes, Liverpool won very convincing and very much deservedly so. They won the game 2-0. It will be much more difficult, hopefully, for Mr. Arne Slot to prepare for this game, because those three players, in Isak, Botman and Joe Linton, add something a lot more extra into this game. And in fact, all of them played apart from Sven Botman, I think. Yeah, so it was Dan Burn that played in the 3-3 draw at St. James's Park. So I expect a very different performance from Newcastle in this game. Having said that, there's been obviously there's a lot of folks in terms of views on the game itself and how Newcastle did. Obviously, Liverpool dominated and won very much deservedly so. Before I get into the kind of crux of the game, got a few comments here already. Good to see you guys this evening, by the way. God bless you. Richie T, good evening, sir. Hope you're blessed. Liverpool was always going to be the same result. We can definitely pick up good points in the coming games, feeling confident. And myself likewise. Myself likewise, and uh, it was always going to be a difficult game, and it came at a little bit of awkward time, 3 days after the Forest game, Anfield away against a team we're going to play in 2 weeks' time for a cup competition. You know, I should have expected more changes that actually that actually happened. I did see, obviously, I did predict that Tonali would return, which is interesting, and Miley will probably be on the bench as well. But I suspect there'll be some more rotation for this upcoming Brighton game. Liam Knowles, never. Oh, by the way, good evening, Mr. Knowles. I hope you are well. I don't know if you watched the Spurs Rival show yesterday as well. I was already meant to be on there for an hour. I ended up being there for the whole show. Never overrun. But that's exactly it. I don't think we were overrun. And you know what? I don't know if you guys. I will complete your comment in a minute, Liam. But I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if you guys watch it. I was watching it on TNT, and the commentary. I know sometimes we get this commentary that's just so biased, and I understand it, but it was hurting my ears. Liverpool this, Liverpool that, and Newcastle, they came to defend. And do you know what? I listened to the game. I watched the game with no sound. I was just quietly in my house, just watching the game with no sound, because it was just jarring my mind, jarring my brain, whilst I'm looking at the game. And you know when you can see what you can see, but the way the commentators are talking and kind of talking down on Newcastle so much, I'm like, this is I'm getting angry at the team, but not at what I'm seeing, but what I'm hearing. So I turn off the sound and I can just see the game. And exactly what you're saying, we weren't overrun. But then if you go to the social media comments, now, the way people were angry, I know people get that. But I was wondering, I wonder if you guys watched the game with the commentary on. I wanted to ask people, it just seemed like a weird question. Did you guys listen to the game or watch the game with the commentary on TNT Sports? It might be might be the reason why. But it was just, anyway, I switched it off, and just like you, Liam, I had a different take. So I need to finish your comment. Never overrun. We scored twice. Sorry, never overrun. We scored twice the last season. We did. But we're totally battered. This was much more controlled, but so hard to spring attacks with who's available. Exactly. And I think it was I don't know if you guys saw, a comment from Lewis Hall saying, when we did get to the other half, I looked up to cross the ball and there wasn't too many bodies there. And it was true that the team was, especially after the 60th, 70th minute, team was tired. People don't understand that. Like, honestly, like, for the guys that have watched us kind of doing the squad building shows, you saw me do the minutes on Newcastle, how much, breaking the squad down in terms of minutes. Liverpool, for instance, they're high dependency players. They have about 4 or 5 like real high dependency players that pretty much play nearly every minute of every game, almost. Newcastle have 9. That literally our first 11. Now I have 9 players who we constantly have to play League Cups, FA Cups, obviously in the league itself. So no wonder we're tired. Anyway, Aaron Cave, good to see you, sir. Good evening. Hope you are well and blessed. Even if Philip, we knew we were gonna lose as soon as Isak was declared injured. Yeah, I'm annoyed though about the phase when we were on top. Eddie didn't make the changes, waited until the game was dead. Yeah, and I suspect he was looking at games ahead. I think he's looking at Brighton. I think he's looking at Brighton and I'm giving a spoiler alert for my starting lineup for Brighton. I think he's looking at Brighton to rotate, to bring in Joe Linton, to bring in Botmans, to bring in Miley's, to bring in a number of other players. I wonder if even Gordon gets rested, for instance. But we'll talk about it. So I think he used Liverpool game to also to take players off and to also give prep, warm the legs of some of the players that are probably going to play on Brighton as well, I suspect. Aaron Kane, small things like that annoy me. What separates a good from an elite manager? And I didn't understand the thinking of having Gordon centrally and Willock wide when Willock is primarily a number 8 and 10. He does that sometimes, and he did it because we were playing a 4-4-2 out of formation, and it was to do with the transition and to help us to progress through the middle of essentially through Liverpool as quick as possible, or to also provide overloads on Liverpool's left-hand side, which would have been Trent Alexander. So there's actually maybe one or two times, for instance, I saw Willock really, bypass. We know that Trent isn't the best on 1v1s, and I think they were targeting that side. It would have worked a lot better if Isak was there. Right? So I think that was the thinking behind it. Aaron, the commentary really wound me up. That's what I'm saying. That's why I had to switch it off. But I'm used to it now. Yeah, you've got harder skin than me. I've been used to it this way for years, especially with the big six teams. No impartiality whatsoever. I agree. Constantly wishing them well. Like, we need to see them restored back to who they were, and restore the. I'm like, no. What? Like, are you guys meant to be like objectivity or what? Liam knows need Sven and Joe for big games like that. Exactly. Gordon has to be on the left against Trent. Yes. Look, lack of squad depth in last 15 minutes shows how light we are. Hall and Gordon only high level. Yes, I agree. I thought Gordon had a good game, and Hall was exceptional for me under the circumstances. Richie T. Bruno looks like he needs it. He does, and I think he's going to get rested. Again, spoiler alert, Bruno isn't in my starting lineup for Brighton game. Not because he needs a rest. Just like you said, Richie, he needs a rest. He's never been the fastest. No, his recovery pace isn't the greatest. But he looks shattered. He does. He honestly does. He looks shattered. And Jacob Murphy's making a few loose mistakes as well. So let me just finish off. I don't want to have more better time talking to you guys, to be honest, in the comments than having to go through the stats. But yeah, look, attacking momentum very much in Liverpool's side. And they dominated possession, expected goals, 2 big chances, shots. They had to only really make one save. I can't remember when that was. Obviously had the more passes, tackles. They spent a lot of time in our box as well. Well, how many times were they in our box? It was showing in the end anyway. Had that feeling anyway. 12 shots on target to our 3 shots on target. It very much went on to their favour. I thought Szoboszlai was really good. I don't know if you guys remember before Szoboszlai came to Liverpool how linked we were to him when we were looking for a right wing forward. Man, imagine if we had Isak, Szoboszlai and Gordon in our front ranks. Sheesh. I really think he's exceptional. I know he plays, people say he's an 8, but he's an 8 who also can drift on to the right, which is what we were looking at for at the time. I think he's dynamic. I think he's so dynamic, aggressive, compressed, fast, and never stops moving. Tactically, very, very aware. Really, he knitted their attacks together, but kept them defensively sound as well. Like, just keep being in position. I thought he was really, really, really good. They dominated the ground duels, the aerial duels. It all pretty much went Liverpool's way, and they dominated every stat. Yet, and I agree with Liam, I don't think we were overran. I don't believe we were overran, and maybe I am a sensitive soul. But people were like, they were poor. How can, and you see people memes when kind of derogatory memes of when Newcastle at Anfield or when Newcastle at Etihad, for instance. I'm like, I think there should be a lot more grace. I'm not saying it's okay to lose and stuff like that, but I'm like, come on, do you guys see the lack of rotation in our squad? But yeah, without even saying it for too long, I do feel that Lewis Hall was man of the match in his ground rules, in his passing. Salah didn't go past him too much. He created a goal on that side as well. But that's Salah. Like Salah's breaking all records at the moment. But I thought Lewis Hall acquitted himself really, really well. I was gonna say Gordon Hall, Anthony Gordon as well acquitted himself really, really well. I was super, super, super impressed with just their effort, especially after everything that's happened. So let's get on to the Brighton game. And I'm really interested about Brighton because I like the team. I like Brighton. I don't like losing to them, but I do think, and I like how they set up under Fabian Husler. I like their story and everything they're doing. So I'm looking forward to breaking them down tactically. But let me know what you guys think about Brighton and what your thoughts are for the game. Who do you think should start? And who do you think are the main dangers and people that we should look out for? I've got a couple of comments before we look at the some of the stats going forward. I'm going to look. I know this is an FA Cup game, but I'm going to look at the Premier League stats because obviously there's more games and stuff like that. Liam, we weren't full strength. Yes, we couldn't play our game. Excuse me. Sometimes you have to hold your hands up. Liverpool not at their best, but quality. They absolutely are quality, and that's what happens when you got squad depth and you've got rotational players. You've got key rotational players, versatile players, and development players, squad players. You can keep rotating them, and even if you're not at your best, like you said, you're still performing at a level that can win you games. And I think that's where Newcastle. I think that's where Newcastle headed. Richie T. Hopefully we can break the Liverpool curse in the final. And what better way to do that? I like that. And that's why I love our chat, because there's a lot more. It's a lot more different to what I see on social media. I have to it's after games especially. I'm like, I have to wait for everything to blow over, and then I send out maybe stuff, and it's a lot. It's a lot to take to see sometimes on the team. So right, where do I want to start? Brighton. Do I want to start on the head-to-heads? Okay, yeah, I'll start on the head-to-heads because I did want to. It is kind of showing a little bit of a picture of what I wanted to see, and I'll kind of look at the overall stats for the team as well. Where are you, Brighton? Oh, okay. I don't want to show that. Okay, I'll show that one later. Where are you, Brighton? What do I want to see? Okay, we'll start here. Head-to-heads. Right. So make sure you guys can see that. Yes, you can. All right, excellent. Brighton, 1:45. 2nd of March. Is that on a Saturday? Should be a Saturday. Oh, no, it's a Sunday kickoff. Oh, it's annoying. I have to wait now. Fine, it's a Sunday kickoff. Oh, man. I wish it was under the lights and a little bit later, I suppose. Anyway, preview. Brighton are a funny team. They've got a lot of injuries. They've got tons of injuries. Lewis Dunk, John Veltman, Jason Steele, James Milner, Igor, Ferdy Kadiaglu. I know that we're expecting Joe Linton and Sven Botman back, and I think it's only Jamal Lascelles is scheduled to come back early May, according to Spotmob, which is interesting. That would make it he's been out for nearly 18 months. I know ligament injuries are no joke, but it's a long time. Now, Brighton are so interested in their form. I watched it right at the bottom, 7-0. They lost to Nottingham Forest. I watched that game, and they were absolutely destroyed in that game. But, and when we do the tactical breakdown, you can see after that they've won every game, and they made literally 1 to maybe 2 tactical. From what I can see, I'm sure there's a lot more than that. Tactical changes that I think attribute to the next 4 victories they've had. And I think they've won 6 and 8. They beat Chelsea twice in 2 weeks, 2-1 and 3-0. Phenomenal. Then they beat Southampton, which is unfortunately routine at the moment. With all due respect to Southampton, been there, done that. And they beat Bournemouth. And I watched large parts of that game as well, very much backwards and forwards. Bournemouth's intensive style. Brighton being just a more clinical up front. And done really well. Minte, again, I thought done really, really well as well. João Pedro, who you guys know I'm a fan of, done well. Welbeck came on and scored the winner, I think it was well. and they just showed their depth, which was really good to see. Ourselves, 3 wins in 2. Obviously, we beat Arsenal 2-0 at home. Then we went on to the FA Cup, beat Birmingham 3-2 away. We lost to Man City, deservedly so, 4-0. But then we had a really, really good comeback win against Nottingham Forest 4-3 before losing to Liverpool 2-0. So you would say, like, it wasn't on paper, really. On paper, you wouldn't be surprised if someone said, oh, that Newcastle lost to Man City and Liverpool. Not saying it's good. I don't want it to happen, but you wouldn't be overly surprised. We've won the games that you'd hope that we would win. So there's been at least some consistency in the results. And if we look at the head-to-heads, always is really, really close between us. I think so far in the last, 13, 20 games, Brighton have won 8, we've won 5, and there's been like 7 draws. Obviously, they beat us last game at home, so with that 1-0. And from what, if you guys remember that game, we actually dominated that game in a lot of metrics: shots on target, touches in the box, possession, entries into the final third. But I think Isak maybe had one one-on-one, maybe 2. Gordon had a one-on-one. So it's the time, if you guys remember, we were really struggling in scoring. In scoring, we were creating, but we weren't scoring. And obviously, Welbeck did take his chance. Fabian Schär wasn't strong in the tackle after that long ball. And so, yeah, I remember that game like it was yesterday. And but we're on to Brighton. It was 1-1 last year at our ground as well. But before they beat us 3-1 at their ground. So last year they've had this last 3 or 4 games, really, they've had the better of us. Before in 2023, 2023 when we qualified for the Champions League, I think we won 2-1 and away at their ground and 4-1 at our ground. Yeah, that was good times. So it's been really, really tight between us. And it depends. I think a lot relies on who's in form in these games as well. So that's been good to see. Let's look at Brighton in terms of just their stats and how they're doing for the year before I talk about this tactical tweak that Mr. Herzl had done, that I think that has led him to 4 victories in a row after losing 7-0 to Nottingham Forest. So before we get into that, let's read your comments and see what you got. There's a few comments here. Aaron Kane, excuse me. We have a serious dilemma at the back. Yes, we do, definitely. Who comes in for Botman because poor defenders been poor lately, and Pope or Dubravka feel sorry for Dubs because he didn't do much wrong, but both aren't good. I think Dubs showed in the City game, the first goal that went over the top, he needs to come off his line a lot sooner. And that's the one thing that Pope is good at. He's good at saving. He didn't show that at Liverpool too much, but he's decent. He's better at saving, stopping shots than Mr. Dubravka. And he's better off coming off the line. And we really need that when we have defenders, like you said, who are aging essentially and aren't as athletic and aren't as mobile. They need to know that the goalkeeper can come out when the ball goes over the top. So if you even notice for the Liverpool game, Liverpool, the few times they try to get the ball over the top, it didn't really work because Pope would come out and, they just stopped doing it. They start hitting the flanks a lot more. And I think both the goals they scored were from cutbacks. If you put Dubravka in, you then start seeing teams putting the ball over the top again. And I think that's why Dubravka was taken off, essentially. So I think it would depend on... I think you'll see a Dubravka play against an Arsenal, for instance, who don't really have players who run in behind, and then you're not going to see the ball over the top so much. Hence why I think Pope stays, because I think Brighton can do both, in my opinion. Liam, Dunk and Veltman, they might miss. Yes. Though I think, is it Van Heck? Van Heck is pretty good. I wouldn't mind him at Newcastle. And Webster, I think he's a stalwart, isn't he? He's been there for a while. Others not so much. Solly March always pulls the blinder against us, and he's back as well, isn't he? Kraft through at the back. Yeah, why not? Why not? Liam knows. I think Hull goes strong. Team have 8 days to West Ham. Need a confidence builder. You know what? You could very much be right. I do wonder, but anyway, I'll show my lineup, but we'll stick to that. Let me know what you guys' lineup will be. I would appreciate that. That's a good comment, though. Let me know what you think of the lineup, Liam, when you see it. Right, so let's go quickly through the stats of Brighton and talk about what it kind of tells us about them. Obviously, this is for their overall team. Their top scorers, Danny. Look at the goals. They're all shared out really equally between Danny Welbeck, Kuru Matoma, and João Pedro, 777. Whereas Isak's got 21 goals. So it's a difference in goal distributions amongst the teams at the moment. Can't remember how many goals Murphy's got. We'll look it up, but it's a really good goal distribution. Assists, again, good distribution. 6 for Pedro, 4 for Welbeck, 3 for Matoma. I think it's a good sign of how our team plays. Goals and assists, 13, 11, 10 between Welbeck, Karo Matoma, and Danny Welbeck. Good ratings. Again, their front three. This time Carlos Baliba, who's a revelation for them in the centre park, and is one of the main reasons I think for the up in form. João Pedro, Baliba, and Matoma doing well. Goals per 90. 0.43 for Danny Welbeck, 0.41 for Pedro, 0.41 for Minte, former Newcastle player. Expected goals. So is Kamara? He's a little bit is he outperforming? He's a little, but he's not really, just a little bit there. I think Pedro and Danny Welbeck outperform. Matoma's hitting his targets very much so. Conceded XG per 90, assisted per 90 as well. Not too bad. Really good for Danny Welbeck. So you can see where the threats are coming from. And when we're talking about the team's expected goals on target, so quality of shots that's happening from them. Matoma, Pedro, Danny Welbeck. Again, you guys can see where the threats are coming from. Shots on target per 90. Really, really high there, I think, as well. 0.9s and 1.0s as well. Shots per 93 for Ruta as well. 2.5 for Danny Welbeck and Adingra. So these guys are really, really creative, and they get a lot of chances created. Big chances created to Matoma, 8, Pedro, 7, Yankuba Minte, 6. Like these guys are creative. We know these chances created overall. Matoma on 32. This is out of how many games have we played now this season? 27, 26. Really good. Ayari, 24, Pedro, 21. Like you can see where their threats are coming from. Successful dribblers, and this is where Newcastle do struggle a little bit against dribblers. Minte, nearly 3 successful dribbles per game. It's phenomenal. Adingra, we haven't seen too much this season. And Matoma, obviously, he's got the PhD in dribbling. Big chances missed. They do miss a little bit as well. Matoma, Minte, Welbeck, and penalties awarded. Defensively, tackles per 90, 2.3 for Weaver. He hasn't been playing that much, to be honest. Interceptions per 90, nearly 2 for Baliba. His positional awareness is really, really good, and he holds that midfield. And that midfield is going to be their strength as well as their attack, in my opinion. Clearances per 90, Van Hex tops that as well. Blocks as well, nearly 1 block per game for Dunk and Heck and Ferguson. Evan Ferguson, oh, okay, that must be like just an off stat really, because he doesn't play that much. Possessions won in the final 90. That there'll be Pedro will at least win 1 possession in the final 90. Newcastle got to be ready in terms of how they play out the back. Minte as well, Baliba as well. They will press, they will push up high. Goals conceded per 90, nearly 2 goals, and this is where Brighton's vulnerabilities are, in goals conceded as well. So it's very clear. Baliba, Pedro, Matoma are like their star players, attacking wise. offensively, goals, assists, big chances created, big chances missed even. They're offensively really, really, really sound how they go forward. So when we're looking at the tactical breakdown, we can see who their main threats are and what they're doing. So let's look at them as a team before we do the tactical breakdown. And again, I think these are the guys that are going to play. These are the guys that are going to play. So let's look at them as a team going forward, where how they're matching up at the moment. I mean, they've got their 12th overall football Brighton with all the metrics that we're talking about. So hold on, where are they in the league? let me go back again. Where are they in the league? I forgot to find that out. That's going to give me a little bit of a clue what's going on with them, because I know it's dead tight at the moment. Okay, so they're 8th. They're a point. Of course they are. They're a point behind us. In fact, Aston Villa are in 10th and they're 2 points behind us. This league is absolutely insane. So they're only a point behind us, Brighton, in this league as well. So you got to give your hats off to them. We could. Through all the changes that they've had, all the players that Chelsea and others have taken from them, their scout, their directors, and look how they're still performing. They still whooped Chelsea twice. The same team that took all their players and they whooped them twice. You have to respect them. You have to respect them. Right. So let me quickly look at their stats. Let me get back to them. In terms of their stats, where are you? Stats. Here we go. So they're here we go. Teams, right? So they've got a football rating of 12, which is interesting. So I'm going to assume right from the start their offensive stats are probably really, really good, and their defensive stats are like mid-table to lower mid-table. That's my guess before even looking at anything. Goals per match, they're 9th in the league. Where are we now? Have we improved on that? Where are we? We're 7th. Okay, so we've got that marginal gain over them. And they're 9th. Goals conceded, yes. So they're 9th in the league for goals per match, and goals conceded per match, they're 11th. So that mid-table defense and upper mid-table offense at the moment for Brighton. Average possession, 8th in the league, not bad. Clean sheets, 7. We've got 8 as well, so we're very close in terms of that. Expected goals XG, I'm so surprised they're 11th for that, because I would have thought it would have been a little bit higher for them, but fine, they're 11th in the league for that. Shots on target per match, 8th for them. For instance, where are we in expected goals? Having said that, I hope we're not lower than them. No, we're 6th. Yeah, so we're doing a little bit better in terms of offensively so far. Shots on target per match, 8th. Big chances created, 8th. Big chances missed, 6th. So maybe there's where your little problem is, that little edge at the front, and then that little bit more to be a bit more clinical, where it would help them really. Accurate passes, 9th. Accurate long balls, 8th. So pretty even there, even spread there, not bad. Accurate crosses per match, they're 3rd in the league. And when you've got Minte and Matoma on either side, for instance, and even Adingra and others, I'm not surprised to see their stats for that to be so high. Touches in the opposition box, they're 7th in the league for that. That's not too bad at all. So that, like I said, their approach play, their ability to get into the opponent's half is really, really good. It's better than ours by about 5, by about 5 touches. We're so close on some of these stats with Brighton. It's crazy. 11th for corners. So let's look at defense. Now we're going to get the defensive side. XG conceded, so shots conceded, 11th in the league, lower mid-table again. Interceptions per match, 13th in the league. Successful, that cutting out passes essentially. Successful tackles per match, 10th. That's because I think they got a lot more possession. Clearances per match, 13th. Which is actually good, because I think they have the ball, they do a lot more attacking, so they probably have to do less like having to clear the ball off their line, not off their line, but like out of their boxes as well. Possession 1 in the final third, 9th in the league. So their press game isn't too shabby. I wonder if ours has improved, because we were like lower mid-table the last time I checked. Are we still there? Oh, we're not even. I'm not even. we're not even. We're not even 10th at the moment for that. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier about Newcastle being tired. When we were in that season when we first qualified for the Champions League, we were like top 3, top 4 for that. We're 15th. We've even dropped even further. We're not winning the ball up high at all at the moment. And saves per match. So their goalkeeper doesn't have to make too many saves. 19th in the league. That's interesting. Which is a really good metric. So there is some defensive solidity somewhere for them, which is good. They haven't got the greatest. They commit a lot of fouls per match. I don't mind that. I think there's a bit of Diego Simeone in that, I think, as well. So look, Brighton are a very, very good team. They're pretty much, where they are, eighth best team in the country at the moment. Really good creative forward players and midfield. Some work to be done in the defense in terms of the shots they concede and stuff like that, and goals they concede. But there is some defensive solidity there. A little bit in terms of the saves that the goalkeeper makes, unless the goalkeeper is just not that good. So I wanted to talk about their form and why it changed, and what it leads me to talk about in terms of Brighton's tactical change that has helped them to get to win the last 4 or 5 games. Before I do that, let me see if we've got a few comments here in the chat as well. You guys are the chat is really buzzing. So we've got Mighty Mag. Good evening, sir. Hope you are well and blessed. Evening, Philip. Evening, sir. Smash the like, guys. Yes, please, guys, do smash the likes. Do share, like, and subscribe as well, folks. That would be a pleasure. And Liam, thank you for sending your starting lineup. Guys, feel free to send your starting lineups. So you got Gordon, you got Bruno. Oh, sorry, you got Gordon, Bruno, and Isak on the bench. Okay, on the bench. All 3 of those guys on the bench. Okay. And you got Barnes starting, Wilson starting after 3 days. Okay, Barnes, Wilson, Murphy. Okay, Barnes, Wilson, Murphy. Willock, Tonali, Longstaff. Okay. Hall, Burn, Kraft, Trippier, and Dubravka. So Hall, Burn, Kraft, and Trippier. Wow, you've really rung the changes there, Liam. Fair play to you. Fair play to you. Okay, my initial thoughts are that is a weakened side. And if Brighton play the same team they played against Bournemouth, they could dominate the game. But fair play to you. Fair play to you. Let me know what you think of my lineup when I show it. Adrian Pickett, decent shots. Liam, okay, so Adrian's liking it. But no Miley. Yeah, I just clocked that. There is no Miley. Liam, have to respect them, Adrian. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes full strength in it to win it. 100%. And look, it's important for Newcastle to remain in these domestic competitions, because the motivation to continue is very, very important, because I think that also has a ripple effect on our league form. And that's my opinion. And I think it's been working for us really, really well. Because now if we, God forbid, we lose the FA Cup game, we know all, like in terms of like trophies and cups, all we've got is this League Cup right now. And that might add more pressure than we need. So I'm hoping that we win. We go into that 6th round and we can go a lot more relaxed going into the final as well. So that's my initial thoughts on it. So yeah, absolutely. So that's why. So before talking about the kind of the feeling and the psychological importance of this game, I wanted to talk about how Brighton changed their form, what my theory is anyway. So let me make sure you guys can see the screen. Yes, you can. Now, you guys will notice the 2 big reds in the middle, Everton and Forest. Now, for some reason or another, SofaScore won't let me see the average positions for the Everton game. I wonder if it's the same as Nottingham Forest game, because Herzler changed something significant that I think had a positive ripple effect on the next 4 games. So if you look at the Nottingham Forest game, which they lost 7-0 at their ground, so so Herzler is known for saying he doesn't like formations, and when I show you the average position, you'll know exactly what all of that's about. But it looks as if he's playing if you look at this formation, then we never trust these things because it changes. But it looks as if he's playing a 4-1-4-1, right? In terms of the actual formation, with Hinchelwood, who I really, really like, plays in the middle of the park, in between the defence and the attack, obviously with Welbeck leading the attack and Pedro and Ruta as 8/10s maybe, and Minte and Matoma as the left wing and right wing players there. However, this is their average position. So this is Forest, our average position. Forest do what Forest are. They use their fullbacks to join the midfield. They crowd that midfield, which allows their centre forwards to push up. Yeah, pretty straightforward. It's so straightforward that there isn't too much adaptation to it. This is. Let me zoom into you. Can you guys see? Let me make sure you guys can see this, because I've never seen, in all this time in presenting to you guys, I've never seen an average position. This is from down going up. So obviously you can see the goalkeeper is there. They've got no midfield. Brighton have no midfield. They emptied out, and he's known for this. This isn't the first time. They emptied out their midfield, guys. Yes, you've got this 41 here, but who's their 41? Jack Hinshaw by himself. He's by himself with the wing backs, with I think is that Lamptey, number 2 there, and Veltman on the right. And you're playing against a team who love flooding the midfield, and you put one man up against all those players, whilst all your other forwards are up there. Mitoma's up there, Pedro's up there in their half, Welbeck is up there in their half, Ruta's up there in their half, Minte's up there in their half, while Mr. Hinshaw is right there by himself, having to play against 3, 4, 5 Forest midfielders. And then he got absolutely hammered for that, 7-0. So that's a very clear and obvious error there, right? So what does Mr. Herzler do? Well, the very next game against, who was it, Chelsea? I think it was Chelsea. Let's see now. Let's see what he changes. It is against Chelsea. And it is at home to Chelsea, which they won 2-1. How do you go from losing 7-0 to going 2-1? Well, and it doesn't matter who it is in terms of their front line. And in this instance, it was Pedro who took off, and he put on Belieber to join Mr. Hinchelwood in the middle of the park. And what was the direct effect of that? Well, let me zoom in. This is obviously from up going down now. So the goalkeeper is number 1, obviously you can see there. And what happens? Can you guys see right in the middle, 20 and 41, like this, 2 peas in the pod together. Carlos Belieber and Mr. Hinshaw together, tying that midfield, but also so protecting their back 4 or back 3. Well, it is a back 4, and we're going to talk about this, Mr. Lamptey going up. So it is meant to be a back 4, but when what Lamptey helps him to do is he'll join up into the midfield areas, but also he'll also push up. As you can see, his heat map right here, really hot in this side. He will join up next to Mitoma, and Mitoma allows Mitoma to tuck in. Very similar tactics to Newcastle United. Mitoma will tuck in next to, in this instance, is Danny Welbeck and Georgino Rutter, with Minte not too far behind. And it allows 3 players to concentrate on the defensive backline, overloading those defensive backlines and allowing them to be a lot more creative, while being at the same time with the 2 midfielders in protecting the backline, screening the backline for them to be defensively sound. So it's a very simple change, but very, very, very effective. And and Minte does his fair share of backtracking, very similar to Joe Linton. You see that heat map there going backwards? That's him supporting where Mr. Who is that? Is that Veltman supposed to be? Veltman is meant to be the right back in this case. But it's Mr. Minte who's spending more time at right back than Mr. Veltman. So credit to Minte, not only doing his offensive duty, a little bit less so in this game because Tariq Lamptey's pushing up. So it's almost lopsided like this. It's like, it's gone like this. They've gone like that on Chelsea, right? With Tariq Lamptey pushing up and Minte going down to join the back four like that, supporting Veltman, and Veltman kind of staying in the middle. It gives them that balance in terms of attack and defense at the same time. With Baliba and Hinshaw being very, very central, but all over centrally of that midfield, screening the back three, back four, and supporting them. And whenever Chelsea did hit the flanks, you'd have Mr. Minte protecting that back line, supporting Veltman, who obviously doesn't have the same recovery pace as Minte. And you've got Lamptey doing a terrific job sprinting back and defending his side of the field, left back, but also joining the midfield. And as you can see, the next heat map and the attack as well, allowing Matoma to join in centrally next to, in this case, Welbeck and others. And this is the same pattern. Let me show you guys before I read your comments. And this is exactly the same pattern that follows the rest of these games. So let me show you the second Chelsea game. And this is, which they lose 3-0 this time. Oh, goodness. They must have been fuming. They lost 3-0 this time. On this occasion, it was Ruta so it's Welbeck, Ruta, and Matoma as their front three. Average positions for Brighton. Again, this time it's going from up, going down. A little bit different. In terms of centrally. You can see that both they're a lot more counter-attacking in this instance against Chelsea. But again, the same job. Hinshaw and Baliba protecting that. It looks very much a back three in this case, with Lamptey not too far up, but joining like a midfield there of himself, Ruta, and Minte, with Welbeck on that front line himself. So same-ish principles, but it's more of a mid-block almost. Mid-block to a counter-attacking team as well. And the first goal actually that was scored by Matoma in that game, absolutely phenomenal. Long ball over the top from Verbruggen. And you have to almost look at Verbruggen the same way as you look at Edison. I'm not saying in ability and accolades, but he can do what Edison can do with the ball. Long ball over the top, directly over Matoma's head. Bergkamp-esque, brings it down, goes past Trevor Chalobah and tucks it into that right corner. Long ball over the top. And this is what Newcastle have to be aware of. This team can do the short passes, the direct passes, diagonals, and the long balls, accurate long balls at the top. And they've got quality players in Ruta, in Matoma, in João Pedro, who have the technical ability, but the physicality and the athleticism to bring down the ball and to hold off the defenders. We know this because Welbeck did it to us in our home game against Brighton early in this year. And that's when I think Pope is going to play, as opposed to Dubravka, who likes to stay on his line or stay in his box more than where Pope is very much a super keeper, and he'll be coming out a lot more sooner, in my opinion. So like I said, this pattern follows. That was the second Chelsea game. I almost don't want to look at the Southampton game because I feel like when I watch Southampton games, they don't tell me a lot, but the pattern-ish is the same. Again, I think, let me get the average positions. And that's Southampton's. And this is Brighton's. This is from down going up this time. And it's a little bit different. They're a little bit more aggressive this time because of Southampton. With Yassin Ivory, they rotated in the middle next to Carlos Baliba, but the principle is still the same. Two central midfielders protecting that back three. They're a lot more offensive because it is Southampton, and they're a lot more. They've clogged that midfield area with and with the wingers. Who's a 17? Minte as well, punishing from on the right, and Tariq Lamptey really pushing up on that line as well. But those two midfielders are the baseline, or the platform, for everything that they do. And The last game against Bournemouth, which was again a very tight affair, but obviously Bournemouth have been whooping us recently as well. So this is a really, really tight affair at Brighton again. This time it's Ruta, Pedro, and Matoma as the front three with the Gomez. I don't know who he is, but I bet you any money he's good. because Brighton don't do bad players, don't do bad recruitment next to Belieber again. And again, finally, average positions from up going down. You can see the keeper number 1 there. A little bit more different. They're having to be a little bit more defensive because it is Bournemouth. If you look at Bournemouth's, so interesting because Bournemouth, who we look how aggressive Bournemouth are. They've got in Brighton's half, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players like throughout the game, no matter what. And that's what they did to us. They absolutely obliterated us in their press. You know how they are. So it's forced Brighton to have to adapt themselves and be ready for the count and to be able to counter attack. So the number 4, who's the number 4? Webster is very much at the back there. And because Bournemouth are targeting that left side, so they've on their left side, which is Brighton's right side, you can see it, they're targeting that because Justin Kluivert has gone on that side together with Antoine Semenyo. Remember him? So they've targeted that left side as they did against us, against Livramento, and they really, really punished us. And they did the same thing to Brighton. But who's on that side? It is Van Heck, but he's not by himself. There's 2 other Brighton players next to him, one being Tariq Lamptey, and the other is obviously Yankuba Minte. Yankuba Minte doing a splendid job in defending and supporting his back 4, which is what we should have done a lot more better against them. But fine, that game's gone now with Mr. Estepenian on the other side. But again, the principle's the same. Carlos Belieber and Jimenez, the 2 central midfielders, together like this. They cannot be separated by daylight almost. Screening and protecting their back 4, making sure people can't just get through balls through them. And once the play is broken up, they get the ball quickly onto their attacking players. And look how central those guys are. Ruta, Pedro, Matoma, they're all so central, ready to overload. And what allows them to do that is because obviously you got the likes of Estepinian making them runs, not as much this time, but he's there. You can see there's a bit of a heat, a red heat map there, which allows Matoma to tuck in. Similar here, and Kubaminte doing a stern job at the back, but look at the heat map as well at the front, which allows who to tuck in? It allows Ruta to tuck in. So Ruta's now got next to him Matoma Pedro's got next to him Ruta and Matoma, and they just attacked Brighton through the middle as well. So great job defensively and a great job offensively by that tactical tweak that they've made in their midfield by partnering, I believe, with either Hinshaw or with Jimenez, or there's a third player I can't remember, Ayari, I think, and doing a phenomenal. And this has led them to good performances and even better results, especially in the last 4 games. They've won, I think, 6 in the last 8 games. So I wanted to highlight that tactical change, so folks, we can. They've done this for the last 4 games, and I fully expect them to do something similar going up against us at St. James's Park. So let me know what you guys think about that, and does it make a change to maybe your starting lineup, who you like to play? Because we're going to need someone to do. We're gonna have to come up with a way to ensure that we can stop Brighton as well. So let me know what you guys think. Got a comment here from Aaron Kane. Still managing. Oh, I missed something. I think I missed something. I have to respect Adrian. I wouldn't be surprised. I missed Liam. Sorry, I missed Liam. I'll go to Aaron in a moment. Liam, still managing game time for Miley because for Miley, Bunt's pulling the traffic light colours for burnout. Yeah. You can tell, but it's working so far. If Botman and God willing, Botman and Joe Linton are back for this game, it's only Lascelles that's out injured. Can you imagine that after 27 league games? However, I think overall by now we've played about 36, 37 games in total of all the domestic games. And imagine if by this game we only have one player out. Incredible work from Mr. Bunce, and well done to Eddie for listening. Right, Aaron Kane. Brighton's tactics reinforce. We need runners. Yes, Joe Linton is perfect for this game, and that's why, guys. That's a very good call out. I feel like you're over my shoulder sometimes, Aaron, and you already know what's going to happen. That's why. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Yes, it's there, but let me zoom in a little bit. Let me zoom in a little bit about our style. I'm going to talk about our style lineup first before I talk about Brighton's. I kept the same style lineup they used against Bournemouth. I won't be surprised they make a few changes though. Can you guys see that? Let me make sure you guys can see that. Yes, that's fine. Okay, so let's go for it. So I've kept Pope in goal for the reasons I mentioned, which is he's just a better sweeper keeper than Dubravka. And Brighton play exceptionally good balls over the top. For Brogan, the goalkeeper is excellent at that. Van Heck, very, very similar profile to Fabian Schär. He can hit those diagonal balls. Where's the ball here? So he can hit those diagonal balls either straight on, through the middle, or when I say diagonal balls, towards Lewis Hall side, it doesn't matter. So he's very similar in his passing range ability to Fabian Schär. So Pope plays. Back line, I've got Botman. I think Botman has been reserved for this game. And it's the perfect game for him to be at, because the likes of Pedro and Ruta are physically and athletically very, very, very strong. And Schär does tend to struggle against those players. And if we've got Tonali, for instance, screening, you'll have Botman maybe on Pedro or Ruta, with Tonali supporting against Ruta, or with Schär now being able to focus more on the Mitoma side and any potential overloads from Estepena and supporting Tino Livramento. So Botman here will be absolutely perfect in terms of the physical battles in the game as well, and to ensure that we've got a little bit more pace than a Dan Burn and a Fabian Schär. So if the balls do go over the top, you've now got a really good super keeper, but you've also got a defender who's at least faster, a little bit more faster than your Dan Burns and your Fabian Schärs. So I've got Botman in there. Lewis Hall keeps his place, though we do also have to be careful with him not to overplay him. I want to say I won't be surprised if Matt Targett plays, but my goodness, would this be the game for him to play against Lamptey and Minte, and potentially Ruta coming on that side as well. So I feel like I've got to keep him there, in my opinion. And Tino Livramento keeps his place as well. Again, I won't be surprised if Kieran Trippier may be there. He may be there, but I think Tino's, again, his pace, his athleticism, he had a decent-ish game as well against Liverpool, in my opinion. He lost the ball a couple of times, but so did many of the players. He had a better game against Forest. I think his main issue might be Murphy, and I'm going to get onto Murphy because now I'm looking at Murphy. I may change that. But anyway, the midfield: Tonali, Joe Linton, and Mr. Lewis Miley. I think Tonali's recovery pace, his athleticism, his strength, his ability to win physical duels, as well as just keep us ticking over, and his ability on the ball are going to be absolutely vital against the very, again, technical quality of your Pedros, Rutas, and your Mitomas. And maybe even Welbeck starts, and he's an absolute nightmare for us as well. So we're going to need to be physically strong as well. And obviously Joe Linton. Joe Linton for the very same reasons that obviously Aaron pointed out, which is Joe Linton is absolutely perfect for this game in being able to address the threats that are going to come from your Pedro, who's going to come through the middle. Pedro's probably going to be wrestling a lot with Tonali and Botman. But you're going to have Ruta on this side, and you're going to have Minte. Minte trying to bomb forward, and you're going to need the same thing almost that Minte does, where he's used to not only obviously going offensively into the attacks, but he also joins in defensively in supporting Lamptey, where Hall is going to need a lot of support against the likes of Minte and Lamptey, who are going to try and do their best to single him out, to isolate him, and either play the overlapping runs or Minte going on the inside and doing all of that. Joe Linton has to be there to pick up the runs of Minte or Lamptey, or even Ruta, who's going to be there as well to try and create these type of overloads on these side. And Joe Linton is hopefully going to be rested, strengthened, and probably chomping at the bit. And he's going to be so important because Joe Linton not only, we're going to talk about it a little bit more, his ability to break up play, but also carry the ball as far up the pitch as possible before releasing it and to either a Gordon, in this case it would be a Barnes as well. The controversial, I don't know if it's controversial or not, but I was going to talk about Barnes, but yeah, Lewis Miley I think would be really good for this game. I think when he's playing with the physicality and the athleticism and the running ability of Tonali and Joe Linton, you can then balance that off with Murphy's ability on the ball, coolness and decision making, and we will also be able to use him to dictate the play and keep the ball moving and give us that. And he's also, I think I'm going to rest Bruno for this game. Bruno is tired. Bruno, there's no other way to say it. Bruno is tired. He needs this rest. And this will almost be like 2 weeks rest because the next game against West Ham's in 8 days' time or so on. Some people might say just play him. And Eddie Howe might do that. I don't know. I've got Bruno on the bench. He might come on second half for the last 20 minutes, for instance, to shore the game up because we're winning 3-0 or something like that. That'll be beautiful. But I've got Miley playing. I think this would be a good game for him to play alongside, because eventually, especially in the next year, hopefully Bruno stays, or if he goes, Miley's a successor. And if you can't play Miley in these type of games, then just buy a new midfielder. All right, so to the front line, I think Isak makes a return, and I think Barnes. I've got Barnes over Gordon again for the same reasons, because I think Gordon has been playing, even though he put in an incredible shift against Liverpool, and it might be that I'm almost tempted to keep him on. I'm almost tempted to keep him on if he's not in the red, in the traffic lights. But I won't be surprised if Barnes plays him. But if you guys vote for Gordon to stay, I'll put him there. Maybe put Barnes on the right for Murphy, because Murphy, although he's been scoring, he's been a bit off in his decision making. He lost the ball against Liverpool, but he also lost the ball against Nottingham Forest, cost us the first goal. He's been really, really up and down, in my opinion. But I think he may keep his place. He may keep his place and give House, maybe Osola plays. Maybe Osola plays in that right and has that physicality. What do you guys think? Do you think Howe risks it and put Osola? Does Howe put Osola? Do you know what? As I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to put Osola instead of Murphy. But that's going to be mad. Osola, Isak and Barnes. Then Gordon has to play. I think in that situation, Gordon has to play. All right. I'm going to risk it and say Gordon is fit and ready to go. Where are you? So you've got Gordon, Isak, and Osola up front. So again, lots of pace and physicality to match Brighton's in our front three and in our midfield, and a little bit more strength and height and dual winning ability from Botman at the back as well. So let me know what you guys think before I dig in a little bit deeper into the tactics and where I think Newcastle can have some joy going forward. Let me see what you guys are saying. You see, I'm really changing my mind as I'm doing the tactics. And if Gordon is, I just think you can't play Barnes and Osola next to Isak. Isak needs a good partner. Either Gordon or Murphy. So one of them has to stay on. One of them has to stay on. But let me know what you guys think. So let me see what the chats are saying. Aaron Kane, Matt Target, I think could do a job. Okay, fair enough. You're saying earlier, I was a bit worried. Could do a job, and I'd like to see more of Osola for Murphy. He is another one who, I didn't even know that you wrote that. But yes, Osola for Murphy, he is another one who needs rest, and I agree. Aaron Kane, Crafu for Shaw, another who desperately needs rotation. He does. He probably does. I don't see how changing two centre backs, and if Botman plays, I don't see how changing two centre backs just like that with Kraft and Botman. It'll have to be one or the other, in my opinion. Natalie Wilkinson, don't know if it's your first time to the show. I think it's the first time I've seen you. God bless you. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you. I think we underestimate Kraft. He is a reliable. Do you know what he is? He really, really is. My only reservation not playing him is because I don't see how changing two centre backs. He will change one or the other. That's just me. But I agree with you. He really is a reliable defender for us. The Mighty Win. Good to see you, Mighty Win. I hope you're blessed. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Philip. Lamptey's the boy to look out for. He is. And we're going to talk about him. We've talked about him already, but I'm going to talk about him some more in a moment. And now, Lee Wilkinson, Defo Gordon, because he has that firepower and ability to support Hall. Yes, they have a really good relationship there. Miley has the ability to do through balls and press forward. I agree. What do you guys think about? Because I've envisaged Miley as very similar in his profile to a Carrick, for instance. A Carrick, but Eddie Howe has said that he sees similar traits to Steven Gerrard, which is really interesting. Let me know what you guys think about that. How do you guys profile? Whose profile do you think Miley is most similar to? I'd love to hear. Natalie, who you think captain if Bruno's on the bench? Fabulous question. I didn't even think of that. If it's not Bruno and Kieran Trippier isn't there, either Joe Linton, I think, either Joe Linton or Shaw. Though I'd love it for it to be Tonali. It would either be Joe Linton or Tonali, in my opinion. I would really like it if it's Tonali. Let me know, who would you have, Captain Natalie? You let me know. Gordon is more defensible. Yes, really good in supporting the back line. Then Hall, or dependable. I think it's maybe they mean dependable. I don't know. Then Barnes to support Hall. Yes, so defensible. Yeah. Then Barnes to support Hall to keep Minte. Yeah, I agree. Mighty Win, thank you for sending in your starting lineup. So you got Dubs. Okay, you got Dubs, you got Trips, you got Kraft, Burn, and Hall. So what have you got? Kraft, Burn, Hall. Okay. Bruno, Tonali, Willock. Okay, or J7, Tonali, Miley. Okay, and Murphy, Wilson, and Murphy. You got two Murphys. You mean Alex Murphy? Unless you mean Alex Murphy, but he's on loan. Maybe just typoed there. Interesting. Well, you got a strong lineup there. Appreciate you, Mighty Win, for sending that in. I'll put Isola instead of Murphy. Okay, good. I'm happy I made that change. Aaron Kane, I wouldn't play Gordon unless he's needed. Barnes needs the game time for me. So you kept your nerve there. I was like, same thing with the centre back situation. To change two forwards and keep the one and those two forwards don't necessarily have the same relationship with Isak as a Gordon does. He might do it. Probably will do it. Natalie, Barnes is looking too rusty for the importance of the game. Yeah, he is, but he's got to play him. He does have to play him at some point. He's like he's playing Callum Wilson, really. Also, Willock, he has good link-up play with Isak. Oh, that's true. But I think Joe Linton, unless you're thinking, are you thinking, Natalie, that instead of Gordon, Are you thinking this? Willock and Isak and Osola with Joel. What do you guys think of this? At the front line, Willock, Isak, and Osola with Joe Linton. And we know that's a familiar pairing between the three of them, really, but especially Joe Linton and Willock. They all know each other really, really, really well. And the interchange between Isak and Joe Linton is really good. And obviously, the relationship with Willock and Isak is really, really good as well, like Gordon's is. And it gives Gordon the rest. I'm going to change almost. You guys are making me change. Like, I'm going to keep it, because it gives Gordon that rest and he's able to come off the bench. Because on the bench, then we'll have Bruno, Wilson, Gordon. Got a couple game changes there. Barnes as well. We've got about 4 game changes there. Let me know what you guys think. I like that, Natalie. I'm going to keep that. Unless somebody else comes up with a better idea again. Like Ginger Hoskins, good to see you, sir. Hope you're well. God bless you. How's things, Philip? I am blessed and living life to the full. Thank you, sir. Aaron Kane. I was going to do some profile. I was going to do a profile. I might not be able to do that. I'll keep it for next show. I've got some interesting. I might do. If you guys have time, I was going to do 1 or 2 maybe scouting profiles for a forward and a right wing forward. If you guys want to see it, let me know. Aaron Kane, think it all balances out. Joe Linton can support Hall, yes, and drive the ball forward, yes. And Barnes can get the game time, and he's more than capable of doing a job here. Need to get minutes into his legs. I agree. But am I going to put Barnes? Am I going to end up putting Barnes back on again? I'm gonna stick with Willock. Man, it's so tough. But left wing forward, because then between the 4-4-2, I'm gonna stick with Willock. This time. Mighty win. The fact we're scraping. I'm not reading properly. Scrapping for a captain, you've got to have Burn or Trips on. I don't think we're scrapping for captain. There's a number of leaders there. Joe Linton, Tonali, Shaw. I think we've got a good number. I've got a good number of leaders in my opinion. Natalie, Natalie, I'll play Dubs over Pope. Seriously, we need a keeper who can kick a ball. But I think we need the keeper also who needs this. It's preference, isn't it? We do need the keeper who needs. You're right. You're absolutely right. I just think how it would be worried about that ball over the top, which Brighton are very good at. You see the goal against Chelsea. That Matoma scored the second when they won 3-0, and you know what I mean. And you'll be thinking, or hopefully you'll be thinking about the Man City game. Ginger Hoskins, right now there's 2 mid-table squads trying to get into the next round, because after last night, people are finally seeing only Botman and Isak are top players. Oh, right, okay. That's what you mean. I think we've got more than 2 top players, in my opinion. I think we've got Bruno, Botman, Isak, Gordon, Tonali, Joe Linton, Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento. Yeah, and I'll put those guys up, in my opinion. But yeah, everyone's got their own differences. A couple more comments before we talk into the tactical stuff. Eddie Contreras, why? Natalie Wilkinson, yeah, because Willock can get into the box and the right pockets. Yes, I agree. And they have that natural connection. They do, and find each other. I also do think Gordon needs the rest. Yes, I agree. And Barnes isn't quite ready. Willock is. The mighty win. Harsh to call that Brighton side a mid-table squad. I don't think they're a mid-table squad at all. I think they're a top 8 team. They're pretty much a top 8 team. Anyway, so let's get into it, guys. It's good to see like you guys called me to change my mind like 3 times already in this. I started with a whole different lineup, but I think there's some balance in this. I was a little bit more. I kept Brighton's team as the same team that played against Bournemouth, but I wouldn't be surprised, for instance, if Gomez, for instance, is changed for Hinshaw. or Ayari, for instance. I think they're definitely keeping Belieber, in my opinion. But let's get into it. Brighton, obviously, in their press, I think so. This is the key thing that Brighton want to be able to do is when they've got the ball and they're playing out the back and they're pressing, they're trying to overload, and it depends on what phases of play they're doing it in. They will try to do, and it depends how they want to. If they're not long balling it, for instance. So what they will try to do, I'll keep Newcastle as it is, as they are, just to kind of to. But if you can imagine this being even centrally as well, like if the ball breaks and they go up, but if this is Brighton playing out the back. And what they'll be trying to achieve is they want to be able to get Pedro, Mitoma, and Ruta as central as possible, or they want Ruto, Mitoma as close to Pedro as possible. So the way to do that, especially, is either Lamptey on the right or Estepinian on the left. It will be Lamptey. It will be Lamptey on the right. So what you will get is. So we've got Pedro, we've got Ruta here, we've got Mitoma. Well, it depends on what side they want to do. But you'd have Mitoma either here, because Estepanian will be a little bit more reserved, typically. But I'm going to do it from the right side first. I'm going to focus on the right side first, but you can imagine the same stuff will happen on the left. Gomez pushes up, Belieber pushes up. So you got Gomez matching Miley, Belieber against Joe Linton. That's going to be a heck of a battle. And they will try to keep, as possible, free at the back where they can. In this case, it will be, because we're going on that right side, their right side to our left side where Hall is, for instance. So it'll be Van Heck, Webster, and Estepinian with Minte pushing up and Lamptey on this side. So the whole idea is to try and cause this sort of overlap. So either try to isolate Mr. Hall. So let's get it on this side. Let's get the highlight going. Let's get the highlight going here. Where are you? Get my cursor back. Here we go. So either get this size, this ability to overlap Hall, or excuse me, underlap through Minte and cause these type of situations where they get inside the box through here. Obviously, Botman's going to have to be busy marking Ruta, and if Joe Linton's not doing his job, Minte runs in. But Joe Linton will be doing his job, and he has to cover Minte's run or Lamptey's. Depends how they want to do it. But in this case, let's say Lamptey does the overlap on the right, tries to keep Hall guessing. Is Minte going to get the ball off to? Is Minte going to get off? For instance, Belieber will join them as well. Is Minte or Belieber going to try and get the ball off to Minte or to Lamptey? With Minte running on the inside, for instance. So Joe Linton will have to follow this run and make sure. So this back four becomes a back five to ensure that our midfield, our players are not overloaded. But in doing this as well, the other effect of Brighton doing this is that they create this type of situation where now Ruta is able to tuck in one-on-one with Botman, and Shaw will also have a choice of it because Mitoma will try to also get either centrally as well or keep Livramento pinned back. So Mitoma will try to stay here with Pedro obviously running in. So Shaw will be responsible for Pedro in this case as well. So you've got these type of pairings going on, but Tonali would have to be in and around there to support, because if either Mitoma will try to drive in, for instance, or stay on the outside probably to keep Livramento pinned back, in which case Gomez will be trying to cause the overload on this side, forcing either Lewis Miley or Tonali to join in and make sure that Newcastle aren't overrun in this case. But the main focus obviously is on this right side and to make and cause that kind of centrality in play. Ideally, though, because Brighton have been keeping a lot more balances, they'll probably keep Gomez and Belieber around here. depending on what phase of play around here. Mitoma with the flexibility of either staying on the flanks there, keeping Livramento honest, and you'll have these type of one-on-ones: Pedro against Shaw, Ruta against Botman, Minte, Joe Linton, Hall, and Lamptey. These type of situations happening. Where the gift of having Joe Linton is that, say for instance, and this is where Newcastle can also hurt Brighton. So let me is that when Lamptey goes up like this, very similar. If you guys remember the Nottingham Forest game, because Aina was doing this as well. He would push up and he would allow Elanga to tuck in, but in pushing up, they create this massive gap at the back. So if there's a break up in play, depending on how you want to do it, either we're talking about that Isak and Willock partnership. Joe Linton breaks up the play, for instance, or Hall breaks up the play. So let's say Joe Linton breaks up, and he would drive up. Very good with his take-ons. He would drive up, either force Belieber into the decision. Now, Belieber, for instance, has a decision to make. Do I engage Joe Linton, or do I stay with an Isak? And you notice Isak's movement's really, really good. Where Webster's legs are going to be shaken, Van Heck's going to be worried because now you've got Osola as well. Do they worry about Osola? Does Osola go in on Osola? You probably see him here, keeping Van Heck and Estupiñán busy. So now Belieber's got a choice. If I go and engage Joe Linton, it frees up Willock as well as Isak. Or do I hold back and support Webster with Isak? If he does that, then what happens is obviously Joe Linton is allowed to drive up as far as possible. He has to be engaged either by Belieber or Isak at some point, or Webster or Belieber at some point. In which case, obviously, it's offside there, but obviously he stays on side. The ball goes off to Willock, and obviously the ball and the forward line continues to push up. So you want to be able to create these type of situations to isolate the defenders and force them in these type of decisions. And that's what happens when that's the gift and the curse of being able to push Lamptey up so high, and as well as Minte, where Brighton will be forced to work really, really hard to get back. But again, the first initial part of that is Joe Linton tracking the run, hopefully breaking up the play. And with that Joe Willock and Isak partnership, you then got a situation where you've got this break on, and with Willock, just like Joe Linton, he's able to carry the ball really, really well, and he knows the type of runs that Isak's going to make as well. Webster won't have the pace, and Belieber will know that. So Belieber would have a really split-second decision at times to make, whether to engage a Willock or to engage a Joe Linton, depends who's with the ball, because Isak is going to be on the shoulder of a Webster or a Belieber. In this case, Van Heck would be desperate to try and support Webster, but Osola would be on the right on this side as well. So these are the type of openings that can be created. Very similarly, let me remove that on the right side. So say, for instance, Lamptey holds back. If it's the opinion that goes forward, obviously that back line shifts a little bit more as well. Push back a Solo a little bit there. Willock. Estepinian drives forward, as they did against Chelsea. Estepinian drives forward. Mitoma loves to tuck in next to Pedro. So Livramento will have, if Tonali doesn't track the run of Mitoma, for instance, it forces Livramento in a situation where, do I stick with a Mitoma and allow Estepinian to come in even closer to the goal, or do I engage Estepinian and free up Mitoma? It's going to be key for Tonali in this case, when Mitoma will try to create the overload for Tonali to follow him. Pedro will be keeping Shaw occupied, and Ruta keeping Botman occupied as well. So they'll be trying to create these type of overloads as well. In which case, hopefully, Newcastle deal with it. And very similarly here, you have these type of situations being created. It's going to be that kind of rest defense in terms of where the players are when they're out of position, but being able to also collect the ball, hopefully, when the play breaks out. In this case, I'll say, Livramento is able to get the ball off Estepinian. Then you've got a Lewis Miley here, or Solo can set off. Solo either will tuck in, and this is Van Heck's got decent pace. It's the Webster's that doesn't. And again, Gomez will be. I don't know how good Gomez is. I don't know how well he is as a player, his athleticism. But Miley, who's typically very, very good with his decision making and his passing range is really good, will either be able to force it. You'll either have Osola maybe going down the flanks there. So then isolating Webster, forcing Van Heck to follow him, or at least Van Heck to keep honest. Like there'll be a little bit of a gap here. Isak will either be on the left or the right here. And then you've got Miley, hopefully with the ball making a decision. You've got Isak, you've got Willock, and maybe even an on-run in Joe Linton, for instance, as well in this case. And so you've got a lot more ability to be able to choose from. But the key part of this is going to be Gomez and Baliba, who've been absolutely Baliba and Hinshaw have been absolutely good in screening the back line. So the passes on the breaks are going to be very, very, very key. These type of situations are going to be key. How quickly Gomez engages Miley, and if he fails, does Baliba Baliba will also be trying to run back, ensuring that he's there to keep Willock. So then Lamptey can focus on Joe Linton. If these guys are out of play, then their backline is vulnerable. So Brighton would have big choices to make in terms of how they engage this game. These two central midfielders are going to be key to how well Brighton prevent us from creating chances on their goal line. But because of as long as we track their runners and we're defensively sound, I think Newcastle will always be able to create these type of situations down the flank where they can expose the spaces. And even when we play out, actually, because Brighton are so, it's the same thing that we create these type of overloads, especially on the left side with Isak and Willock and Lewis Hall, where if you guys remember the review of that game, let me take this off so I can. Let me get this. Where Ola Aina made the mistake of, well, he had no choice really because of Gordon's really, really clever movement. Where are you? Here we go. Where Joe Willock would have to be very, very clever, for instance, on here as well. So let's go back to the left side. Van Heck, Webster, Lamptey, Minte, Estepinian is there. So we're going back on this left side. So Pope, for instance, very similar to the Forest game. Pope collects the ball, gets off to Hall very, very quickly. Minte who's quick, is going to be trying to track, get Hall. So this is the clever part that Gordon was really, really good at, because this is Willock in this case, but what Gordon was doing really well was he would drop deep, and because he drops deep, Aina will be following him here and leaving this big space at the gap and allowing Isak to run in like that, because Joe Linton in this case will be following, but it was Willock. It was Willock doing it in the Forest game as well, and it constantly caused these type of overloads as well. So it'll be interesting to see if Willock's in that left wing forward position, his game intelligence, which I think is actually generally quite good, is he going to do the same as Gordon does? Drop in, for instance, force Lamptey to follow him and create these gaps at the back, or is he going to maybe go out wide on the flanks and to cause Lamptey to follow him and allow either Isak or Joe Linton to fill in the gaps as well. So it's going to be really interesting how they work this out on the right side. On the left side as well. On the left side, And I'll be equally interested to see what Osola does on the right as well. The relationship between Miley, Osola, and Livramento. That's if the guys play. Or is it going to be Kieran Trippier, for instance, or Tonali as well? But I think there's going to be a focus on this left side for both teams. So it's going to be the focus on Lamptey's side on their right side, and the focus on our left side. So I expect, again, the battle to be total like that. And whoever doesn't track their runners, whoever isn't tactically aware is going to have trouble. I have a lot more faith and confidence. I say faith. I have a lot more confidence from Joe Linton being in the squad doing this because of his tactical awareness and what he adds defensively to us as well, and Botman's ground rules as well. So I think we'll know when to press. I think he'll know as well when to the situations where he needs to track back, because he's just been doing it all season long and he's really, really good at it. So that's where I'm at. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to give my score predictions after I read a few of your comments. I don't know if I'll have time to do the bit of a scan report, but let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna read a few comments and give my score predictions. Guys, send it. I've got a few comments here. Send in your score predictions. Send in your score predictions and let me know what you think. Eddie Contreras, why for yes, Isak and Willock and Osola and idea. Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. God bless you. Thank you. Sorry, missed Adrian there. Adrian Pickett, Joe Linton and Osola as my centre back. They'll be solid, isn't it? You know they'll do a job. Ginger Hoskins. Oh gosh. Sorry, got that. There we go. Ginger Hoskins. I can't call Bruno a top player without Joe Linton. He's average. I disagree. Philip, you need to stop overhyping players just because of these names. It's what they do on the pitch that matter, and they do nothing. I don't know. I disagree with that. I think if you look at, for instance, stats that say how many games Newcastle win with Bruno, then without Bruno, his dual winning ability, his press resistance, there's a reason why Man City are looking to buy Bruno. And if he was an average player, if he wasn't a top player, they wouldn't be looking to buy him. So I respectfully disagree. I think Bruno is a top player. I don't think I'm overhyping him at all. Natalie, they need to mark their men and not leave their side, because that's where sloppy goals come in by taking an eye off the players. Totally agree with you, Natalie. Totally agree with you. I think Osola will defend Natalie. I think Osola will defend on right-hand side like he did with Brum. He was all over the place. Absolutely. He is. He's exceptional. I do want to talk about him a little bit more. John, good to see you, sir. Pedro against Shah might be a problem. Yeah, when I was talking about that, I was thinking, man, that one-on-one situation. Tonali's going to have to watch that. I think Tonali's going to have to watch that, because Shah didn't do well against Welbeck, for instance, so he might even be Welbeck. I don't see it getting any easier against Pedro. Ginger Hoskins, Philip, I don't think we will see Isak, Botman and Joe Linton until the final, as we only have West Ham in the league. How will rest players for the final, and if we lose, he's sacked? I don't think he's getting sacked, and I don't think he's going to rest the players until the final, because you need to prep the players. They need to get match fitness, especially especially Joe Linton and Botman, who haven't played for a while. And I don't think he's going to get sacked if he loses the final, in my opinion. I think the crucial part will be getting into Europe and hopefully again going even further in the FA Cup. But I don't think he'll be sacked. So I'm not saying, you're not saying solely on the basis of the League Cup, not losing the League Cup. I don't think he'll be sacked for that. Ginger Hoskins, Philip, what are you doing? Isak won't be there. Ooh, if you know, you might be proven right. We'll see. Natalie Wilkinson, Joe Linton and Willock link up as well. Yeah, I agree. Natalie, also, if you notice when Osola play, they barely give him any service. They need yes, and they need to learn to trust him. But he needs to also show them that they can trust him. But I like the partnership of Osola and Willock in the Brum game. So do I. Really good. We need to restrict Matoma. Yeah, 100%. Do you think we'll play more defensively than hit them on the counter, or play low block? Really good question, Natalie. Would they play more defensively? Would we play more defensively and hit them on the low block? I don't think Howe likes to do that. I think he will try to match them in the middle. I think we'll do like a mid block, if anything. And the heat of the battle will be in that middle. It's a really good question, Natalie, because if we do play a little bit of a low block, we kind of we help ourselves in terms of obviously the ball not going over the top, and with ensuring that we're not overloaded. Essentially, he might do it, Natalie. He might do a low block. I, the last time I seen him by design doing the low block, so he's not forced into a low block like against a better side, but by design was the Wolves game at home last year, and we beat them 3-0. So he might opt for that, and it did work a treat. I wouldn't be surprised. I just see him going mid block to a high press, but you might be right. I can see a lot of advantages in terms of him playing that low block. But yeah, guys, have you sent in your predictions? I predict Newcastle. It's going to be such a tough game, guys. Honestly speaking, I can. It's either I can see this game. I almost see it going into penalties, guys. I don't know what you guys think. I see it going into penalties. I see the game going into penalty. But like you said, Natalie, the 12th man, are the 12th man going to be there? And if they are, I think like Aaron, I think it would be a 2-1 game to Newcastle. No, it would have to be 3-2. 3-2 Newcastle. I'm going to say 3-2 Newcastle. We avoid penalties and we go into the 6th round. That's my prediction, guys. That is my prediction. I was hoping to do a scouting profile with you guys today, but I'm going to run over time. So I'm going to stick to it. Natalie, you've gone for a 3-2 as well. But because of time, I won't be able to do the justice I wanted to give. I wanted to take some time on it, on the players that I wanted to talk about. So hopefully we'll be able to do it soon. But guys, it has been absolutely phenomenal. Do I want to do it? Do you guys do the profile? I don't. I'm running out of time. That's the only thing. I'll hold back. Maybe do I want to do it? Do I want to do it? I'll do it next time. I've got some good scouting reports that I wanted to do on a few players. I'll do it for the next show. But guys, you have been absolutely phenomenal. The comments, everything on it has been incredible. Doing the show with you guys, we did the review for the Liverpool game. We did a tactical breakdown. We talked about the strengths and weaknesses of both sides as well, and the personal jewels. It's been absolutely amazing, and you guys have been incredible. Hopefully, we will continue on in our FA Cup journey. 3-2 Newcastle. I think Natalie said 3-2 Newcastle. Aaron said 2-1 as well. All of you guys have been incredible. Natalie Wilkinson, Ginger Hoskins, Aaron Kaempf, Adrian, Mighty Win, Mighty Mag. You've all been so incredible. So many people that I haven't talked about. Liam Knowles as well from the top. You guys have been superb, and this late evening, this late night, I hope you guys have an incredible rest. I hope you guys have a good night. Whatever you're doing, stay blessed. God bless you all, and see you at the next show. As always, folks, God bless and take care.